I am Whittington-Phillips, and this is week 3 of the September Reflective Vlogs. So, this week was a big week in terms of progression of the project, as the play was cast this week, and we got our first look into our official characters, and we read through the edited script, or the first draft of the edited script for the first time. This was good, as this meant we could get production underway as soon as possible, so we were going to start work by the end of the week. This also meant that we could start thinking about how we're going to explore and interpret our characters as our characters, instead of thinking that all the characters. Now we can just focus on the main one. And again, this meant that this is where the main part of the process begins. As by the end of this week, we started to look at the main movements for the opening section of the piece. And in fact, we had the fact that we had our fully edited script meant that we were now set up to basically begin to learn and become our characters and envision how we were going to interpret them, and just reading through the script allows us to get a sense of the nature of our characters and how they work, and finding a way to make them relate to us. And that will be a process that we will go over basically up until the show, as we'll be experimenting with our characters from basically now until we do the show. Also this week we once again worked on music, just working on tone, and we started looking at the songs that we were going to use in the opening section of the piece, so Wade in the Water, and we continued working on that. This also helps not just me but the entire work on our vocal skills and improving vocal range, allowing us to basically and also allows us to work on pitching, which for myself personally can be a bit of an issue, as well as putting things like attack on certain vocals in a song, and also just work on my diction in a song and not just working around the note and hit the note dead on instead of just rising up to it, or just trying to work around it, as well as also focus on making songs sound like I'm telling a story, so treating them like a monologue instead of just a song, as it were. Working on the movement this week, we explored a lot of what we're doing so far is trying to look at some non-naturalistic aspects of the piece, and looking at a lot of its reaction to what has just happened, because with the Trojan being about the aftermath of the Trojan War, we were waiting to be taken off into new lives under the powers of new masters. We explored a section of movement that would go in alongside Poseidon's opening monologue as a start of, and just to give us a foundation as we'll be working through the play in chronological order so this would create a foundation of and set up the play for how we would go on going forward, which basically starts to create the world in which our characters live. I think what went well this week was the fact that we did get our edited script, and it allows us to start October with basically focusing on blocking the playing, getting scenes down, and trying to get a general feel of how the play is going to look, as well as start to look into things like set design and lighting design, how we're going to light the space, and where we're going to have different objects, which is good. I think even better, especially for me, just work on my vocal range, just try and look a bit more into my character, out of lesson time, and just make sure I try and look and get the feel of what my character's going to be before we officially properly start on my parts.